Welcome to the Intuitive Patterns for the fall edition of 2020. So I usually do these articles for the Catalyst, and the Catalyst is going to be going through some changes. And one of the changes, because of COVID and the financial reality that so many businesses are learning, is going to be bi-monthly rather than every month. So this particular one is going to be for October, November, and a little bit bleeding into December. All right. So, yes, it's a big couple of months here. There's a lot going on. And so what I've done is I've tried to separate kind of the before the election and after the election into two groups. Okay. So, the cards for the first part, the October, I should say, are in the Osho Zen Tarot Comparison and Fighting, the Medicine cards Rabbit and Turkey, the Mayan Oracle Imish and Simi, the Ancient Egyptian Tarot, the Ace of Discs and the Ace of Wands, the Aleister Crowley Tarot, the Ace of Swords, the Princess of Swords, and the Empress, the Healing Earth Tarot, the High Priestess, the Ace of Crystals, and the Eight of Wands. And in the words of truth, exhaustion, conflict, seeking, heart, stuck, process. After the election, the cards are Osho Zen Tarot, Possibilities, Medicine cards, Fox, Not the News Channel, Mayan Oracle, Etznab, Ancient Egyptian Tarot, the Eight of Swords, the Aleister Crowley deck, the Ace of Swords, Pleasure, Debauch, and Futility, the Healing Earth Tarot, the Nine of Feathers, the Words of Truth, Humor and Commitment and Continuum. Okay. As with all things in this world and time, major changes are afloat. Like I said, the Catalyst is going to be doing bi-monthly. So this is my first attempt to do a bit more than I normally do for these articles. And it just so happens that it's an incredibly big couple of months. In order to navigate this intensity coming up in November, I have combined the information before the election and then after the election, and I'm trying to weave them together creatively. So please bear with me as I do my best to objectively look at the patterns unfolding over the next 2 months. While each of us have our biases and deep desires over this election, I am taking the people and the personal out of this article so that we look at the patterns and not get caught in the ego games and prejudices that are presently inflaming our country. Thank you for understanding. Okay. I do not expect this election to be decided by the morning of the 4th of November. In fact, there will be so much conflict over this election that I believe that we will not have settled on a winner until mid-December and possibly December 21st. The reason for that is, whether anyone likes it or not, there are two big planets moving into Aquarius on December 15th. Jupiter goes into Aquarius, and then on December 17th, Saturn goes into Aquarius. This sets the stage for a massive global shift into the progressive ideas and intentions of Aquarius. Whether anyone likes it or not, that is the pattern that will set the stage for the upcoming year. That is why I think the election will be settled by that point in December. Because of so many big planets that are at their endpoints in Capricorn, the energy of big, slow-moving planets at the last degrees tends to muddy the clarity and make us have to really look at and address the issues that are unfinished and have not found resolution. Clearly, our world and our country is struggling to find any sort of resolution that everyone will agree with, and this election will not clarify that the way anyone wants. In March of 2023, Pluto will go into Aquarius, and Pluto's big shift marks an end of this disturbing backwards motion from the totalitarian leaders globally who have tried to pull us back into the muck and mire of our unresolved historical past. Make no mistake, I do not think we will have resolution about that past, nor will we have taken steps towards reparation to the terrible things of our ancestors. But I do believe that there is a turning of the tide of consciousness, and that will have to be enough. So while the last quarter of 2020 is a mess monster of astronomical proportions, it does herald a shift of sorts. Much is still going to have to be done. There is much work ahead and a very long cycle of decades. Yes, I said decades, to pull us out of the hole that we have put ourselves in. But I have hope that at the end of the cycle, a constructive shift will begin to unfold. Just remember, this election is only the beginning. Where we are going is anyone's guess. What is clear is that the process of getting to this new place and perspective is going to be shocking, painful, and tragic. You will see a side of Americans that you probably never wanted to see. We have been living with blinders on for way too long. I suggest that each of us take those blinders off right now, because what is coming up is going to be something that you may want a bit of a heads up. You do not want to have external events suddenly rip off those blinders. The shock could be unbelievable. Each of us will have to learn a way to be able to handle the horror that is about to unfold. In a nutshell, October is a time when the exhaustion of all this conflict really begins to take its toll on your heart. Seeking understanding and connection will be next to impossible, except within your most intimate group. Family is everything, and those you love are suffering also. Stay open, stay close, and available, because many are going to panic, have anxiety, feel hopeless, helpless, and then there are some that are so hateful and angry that they are planning terrible things to make their reality seem more powerful than another's. Watching the death of an illusion is never easy. While you know you should want to compare yourself and your position to others, there are going to be so many conflicts and finger pointing that you better put your armor on now, because a fight has been ordered by some mentally deranged and disturbed people who intend to act out the anger they feel on those that they blame for that feeling. There is a feeling of death in the air, but from death comes rebirth. It is the way of things in this reality. None of us can escape it, and the cards reflect that in many ways. People are fired up and wanting answers, but those answers will be intentionally withheld and delayed, making a waiting game painful, incomplete, and questionable. When those in power are threatened, the choices and actions of those they control can be terrifying and extremely dangerous. The stage is set for a dark and difficult experience. The card See Me reminds you to not give up. While you want to know so you have a feeling of control and ability to relax, that is not going to be awarded to you at this time. See Me indicates that there will be a new way forward, because the old way has died and unveiled a rotted core that intended to make the tree collapse and fall to the ground. The delusions and veils of distortion are being torn away, revealing a less than appealing, harsh look at who we really are. Events will take place that you did not think could happen at this time in America. There will be a level of hate and barbarism unleashed that is intended to disrupt and add confusion and question to the validity of this election process. Regardless of the outcome, there will be many that are upset and angry about the process during the election and the delay of a decision. There are those that will continue to break the power of our democracy and try to throw our Constitution into the garbage. What is clear is that we are moving into a progressive time of massive change starting in December of 2020. What is clear is that the process of the last 4 years will take decades to correct and reconstruct, and the people that suffer will be the Americans. What is clear is that our U.S. chart is in a Pluto return, and the destructive patterns that our government's chart has created is terrible through 2023. What is clear is that the next 3 years are going to be some of the hardest that any American will ever live through. And what is clear is that we will all have to discover what it will take for our country to either tear itself apart or decide to heal and come back together. Thanks, everyone.